Hi, this is Josh Kulp. We are learning Daf Shevui. We're on Masechet Kiddushin, and we're on Daf Heh, page 5 of Masechet Kiddushin. And I want to talk a little bit more about how the Talmud proves things here, and some of their techniques, and maybe to give a little brief overview of that. We see a lot here in these pages here asking the questions, how do we know this? How do we know that a woman is betrothed in kesef, shtar, and bia, with money, with a document, and through sexual intercourse? And the midrashic technique here, I want to sort of maybe sift out a little bit what is a logical argument, or what I would consider a logical argument, and what is a purely midrashic argument. We see a lot of trying to prove one method of betrothal from another method of betrothal on this daf that's coming up. So on Daf Heh, the daf that you're about to learn, you're going to see an attempt to learn kesef, that a woman can be betrothed through money, through shtar, a document, from the other methods of betrothal. And you're going to get an argument that looks like this. You're trying to prove A from B. You're trying to prove that shtar, a document, works from the fact that kesef works. And if the shtar can do something, if A can do something that B can't, then A should also be able to do something that B can. In other words, A is greater than B. Shtar is greater than kesef, because shtar can divorce. So shtar should also be able to marry just like kesef can marry. That's a kal v'chomer, and all the more so kind of argument. And then the Gemara will reject that by saying, no, B is different. The reason why kesef can be machnis, can cause betrothal, is because kesef generally acquires in other cases. And therefore, it's not that one is greater than the other, it's just that they're different. And then the Gemara will proceed with another comparison. We'll say, look, if we can't learn A from B, maybe we can learn A from C, which is, in this case, intercourse. So A from C will go through the same process. If A can do something that C can't, then A should also be able to do something that C can. And then again, we'll say that C is different. Bia is different because it just works differently. And there's not a kal v'chomer argument. It's just that these are two different things. But now that we've failed individually, we can kind of bundle the two of them together and say that B and C both differ in one way but are similar in another way to A. And therefore, if A is greater than B and C, then A should also be able to do what B and C can do, namely in this case, Kiddushin. And that's sort of like what the Gemara calls revolving around in a circle. I'm making the little circle motion over here. And that works to prove A from B and C. However, you might raise another difficulty that B and C have another problem. And eventually what happens a lot in these arguments is that you have to learn it from a midrash. In other words, from a somewhat random reading of the verses that is not logical. And there's a tension here between sort of logic, which often fails, and midrash, which by designation or by the rules of the game really doesn't fail, or often doesn't fail, because it's not so based on logic. So you'll see that as it plays out. We're going to see that also with the notion of chuppah. Can chuppah create betrothal, just as chuppah creates marriage? And that's an interesting part of the daf over here. I'm not sure why they wanted chuppah to create betrothal. It might be a hint here that they sort of are already bundling up betrothal into one ceremony, but it's a little obscure why we see chuppah as a mode of betrothal. Finally, just one word about truma. We often find, I think I may have said this before, we often find a test case for how strong something is as betrothal is whether or not the woman can eat truma if she's married to a priest. So a way of saying a woman is really married is saying, or really tied to her husband through betrothal, is to saying that she can eat truma. Because otherwise you could say she's betrothed, but she still requires more steps in order to really solidify the betrothal. Saying that she can eat truma is a way of saying that this betrothal is very strong, because the consequences of somebody who's not a Kohen or not in a Kohanic family eating truma are dire. So therefore, by saying that she can eat truma, it's a way of saying how sure we are that this marriage is valid. The other way around is opposite. A woman who might not be able to eat truma, even if she might be married, because we may have some doubt about it. So, as the Gemara says, koach tehetera adif. Sometimes allowing something is a greater statement than not allowing something. So allowing her to eat truma is a great statement. Not allowing a woman to eat truma doesn't really mean all that much. Okay, I hope you enjoy the daf. I hope you're following our daf discussion page on Facebook, and that you're enjoying Ilana Krishan's limericks also. Okay.